Cuba's historical context. In 1200, Taino peoples arrive in Cuba. They settle much of the regions growing maize, tobacco, yucca plant, and cotton. In 1492, Christopher Columbus is the first European to arrive in Cuba. He explored the northern coast and claims Cuba for Spain. In 1514, the settlement that would later become the city of Havana is established. In 1526, slaves are imported from Africa to Tampico. In 1589, the Muro Castle is built to guard the entrance of Havana Bay. In 1607, the British fleet in Havana. Havana is named as the capital of Cuba. In 1898, the US goes to the war with Spain in the Spanish-American War. When the US main is sunk in the harbor, the US wins the war and becomes the protectorate of Cuba. In 1952, Batista regains the power. This time he rules as a dictator and the government grows corrupt. In 1956, Fidel Castro and Che Guevara begins a guerrilla war from the Sierra Maestra mountain. In 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis. After tense negotiation, the Soviet Union agreed to remove the missiles. In 1998, Pope John Paul II becomes the first pope to visit the island. In 2000, the US agrees to sell food and medicines to Cuba. In 2002, the last Russian military base in Cuba is shut down. In 2008, Fidel Castro announces his retirement. His brother Raul takes over as the president. Cuba re-established ties with Russia. In 2011, Cuba passes some economic reforms, including the right of individuals to own property. 2012, Pope Benedict XVI visits Cuba.
So far from hanging on the block for dough. Notorious, they got to know that life ain't always what it seemed to be. Words can't express what you mean to me. Even though you're gone, we still a team. Through your family, I'll fulfill your dreams. In the future, can't wait to see if you open up the gates for me. Reminisce sometime, the night they took my friend. Try to black it out, but it plays again. When it's real, feeling's hard to conceal. Can't imagine all the pain I feel. Give anything to hear half your breath. I know you're still living your life after death.
Every move I make, every single day, every time I pray, I'll be missing you. Thinking of the day when you went away. What a life to take, what a bond to break. I'll be missing you.
It's kinda hard with you not around. Know you in heaven smiling down, watching us while we pray for you. Every day we pray for you, till the day we meet again. In my heart is where I keep you, friend. Memories give me the strength I need to proceed, strength I need to believe.
Well, almost everybody knows that Cuban's first language is Spanish, but there is other languages. There are 4 different languages in Cuba that a lot of people don't know that are spoken. So the first one that people don't know about is Haitian's Creole. It's a major language in Cuba where it's only used by Haitian Cuban people. The Haitian has been its origin from Haiti. The origin Creole speakers were black slaves who were immigrants to Cuba during the 18th century that came from Haiti. The language is mostly spoken in Cuba's Pacific areas like Havana or in the capital or in other major radio programs. The second language is Lukumi. Lukumi is another major language in Cuba that is spoken by West African Yorubians that also were slaves that were brought to Cuba from the 18th centuries, and they were slaves from the transatlantic slave trade in the 18th century, but they have no native speakers in that language, the Lukumi. The third and the fourth are Galicians. Galician is a language that a lot of native speak in Spain. So Galicia is also related to Portuguese. It's 2 different languages. In Cuba, the Galician language is used by the Galicians people that are found in major cities of Cuba. Corsican is another major foreign language spoken by the population of Italy people that are in Cuba. Welcome to Havana, Cuba. When it comes to classical cars, Cuba has one of the best looking classical cars and all of them are all American cars. This is one of the top Cuban foods that they sell in Cuba, or they make in Cuba. Most of them eat rice, chicken, beef, is really rare, but a lot of pork. And one of their main appetizer is sopa de la pollo. Soup, main appetizer. When it comes to Cuban rum, wow, Cubans, they drink more rum than water because water isn't good. Their top drinks are mojitos, Cuba Libres, Piña Colada, Cubanito. There is Cuban gin, Havana Loco, crema de Villa. All these drinks are like their top. Their most famous and top alcohol brand is the Havana Club. But also the top drink is also espresso. They love having espresso every morning with a beautiful cigar.
Cuban tradition dress are so beautiful because when you get closer to them, you see it the texture, and when you see it, you know it is made by hand.
Le dije aquella mañana es la primera que quiero como La Habana. Mami, que
All of Cuba's cigars are made by hand. Cuba music are entertaining to watch because they have many amazing dance moves that many don't see often. Cuba music are played by so many instruments that those sounds make a good performance by dancing. There's a lot of salsa dances, jazz music and some Cubaton that is like hip hop music.
When Fidel Castro and Che Guevara, both avoid cigar smokers, led their band of communist revolutionaries seized the control of Cuba in 1959. It wasn't long before relationships between US and island nation. Since the 2015 thaw in US, Cuba ties qualified visitors to the island can now bring back $100 of tobacco products with them, although the amount will barely buy a box of many brands.
Not really. Just a few cases, but I mean the cigars that are sold in Cuban shops like this one are all of them 100% handmade. Let me show you something.
Pretty incredible.
In the bottom part of the cigar boxes, there are 3 labels like this one. Habanos SA. Habanos is the name of the Cuban company that produces the cigars. Hecho en Cuba, made in Cuba, and totalmente a mano. 100% handmade. This is the vegetable glue. No smell, no flavor. ¿Qué tiempo te tomó hacer el...?
In the early 1990s, we'll be talking about the Cuban religion. Fidel Castro lifted restrictions of practicing religion that was placed in the 60s. The government relationship with freedom of religion is improving but still far from friendly. To this date, religious organizations always have to deal with government influences. Afro-Cuban religions also suffered during the colonization in the early years of the Republic. African religions were often called demonist. That is also another way of calling a religion that's full of demons. Plus, there were different types of Afro-Cuban religion in Cuba. Like there's one that is called Abuka, that's origin from Western Africa. Their society is full of all males. Each member are assigned to other members of the group to protect. In their ceremony, what they really practice is they wear costumes and they dance like a devil. That is, for them, it's called Irmi, and conduct dances that are also by a leader that is called a Moria. Moria, he speaks a Nigerian language during the ceremony while everybody else is dancing. The second Afro-Cuban religious is Palo Mayombe, that is also called as Payo Monte, and Religio de Congo, that is also translated in English, Gifts of Congo. The practitioner of Palo Monte prays to their dead ancestors for help. Similar to the Santillas, the priest of the religion cast spells, but the Palo Monte have somewhat darker repetitions. The feast day of San Bravo is one of the most significant Cuban religious feast day. In Afro-Cuban faith, Congo is one of the most popular. Orisha is also another way of saying supernatural being on the island. San Bravo is his
Catholic Mass. On the most popular saints in the colonial days, slaves would mask their beliefs in Orisha by masking them with Catholic imagery and rituals. Religion still thrives in Cuba today. Today's religion on the island, like Cuba itself, is much more than a Catholic church.